Sometimes I do things and think, why did I decide to do this? But I did. So now I have to work out the consequences of it.
Hi, hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Chris, and today I have chosen a hare, and I've chosen a hare because they are perfectly created for odd seasons. We find ourselves sometimes in odd seasons, don't we? And they are adaptable to cold winds and unexpected stillness. Very appropriate. As we here in Scotland, the temperature's dropped, it's winter, the dark nights are crawling in. So yeah, it's an unexpected stillness. So let's get painting.
So today we're doing the hare, and we're going to do the hare at sunset. And the reason I decided on sunset, the sunset out of my window last night was amazing, and I just thought, well, maybe we will do sunset because that is such a beautiful time when you get that lovely glow. The hare, they tend to be around at dusk or dawn. They're moving through the darkness always. Which we've still got the blue sky at this time. I should have really done this piece of paper the other way up. I'm hoping I can cover that green now, but I will do. I just want to go in a bit watery to start with and get that paint moving on the canvas. The tops of the hare are actually pretty square. I think that's how it's one of the things that you can spot. Some people get them mixed up with the rabbits. The point that it meets is actually quite right. So I'm literally just using water there just to bring the two sections together, and then we will strengthen some of those colours afterwards. I've got a bit of that nice gold again. Going in quite watery again, and we'll build that colour up. If you try and go completely dark to start with, it won't look nice. You do need to build colour. I have to be very careful like that one because I don't want it to mix into the orange at all. So that was a bit, I was hoping that orange. I've not quite joined those lines actually, to be honest. I have now, haven't I? Dear me, what am I like? That's impatience for you, isn't it? So how's your week been this week? Have you had a good positive week? I've had a bit of a mixed week actually. It's been a bit of a funny one. But, you know, that's the way it is. Someone actually indicated, it really bothered me, really upset me actually, to be honest, that by doing these cards and this painting and working on my journey through grief to help others is making me feel the sadness more. And I always think, that's fine from someone who's never been through grief. But it's played on my mind, and it's played on my mind all week, or since it happened. Yeah, it's just unsettling because I think some people just don't understand. This is not me making my life worse. That actually it helps massively because it's helping me on my journey by sharing with other people what the journey is honestly like, and how I got through it was by painting. I love painting a hare actually as well. It's quite special. It's really meaningful, a gentle expression. I've added a little bit of that Payne's grey into my blue to start at that top a little bit darker. Sometimes with my impatience I put it on and take it off all at the same time. So let's just start darker at the top. Just kind of bring it down. When you build your skies and your background, it is just a case of just blending down and keeping your lines as straight as you can and in one swoop. Maybe that wasn't quite the yellow I wanted, but never mind. Sometimes you can put it on and then go, oh, we're not sure, and then when you actually do that spreading it out, it's like, oh, maybe I was okay. Because everything's wet, I am mixing those colours on the paper now. I actually do like that. I've got there some masking tape. I'm just putting it across the jumper to take a little bit of the stickiness off, so it's not overly strong. And then I can go along that horizon line. Make sure you're coming away from the masking tape as you do it, yeah? Just be careful you don't go upwards and you keep going down away. You should get a nicer, straighter line. And anywhere that we don't, it'll get a tree, okay? Okay, so I dried that with a hairdryer, so I'm just going to whiz that off. Unless, oh, we didn't do it on that bit. And it's bled a little bit there as well. Here it's not too bad. We will cover that. The hair symbolises moving through darkness. And I think that's where we are with our grief, isn't it? We move through the darkness and we're not fully in the dark and we're certainly not fully in the light. So just like a hare that does dusk and dawn, that's us in grief, isn't it? Dusk and dawn. I've gone in white there because part of the ears are white. I've blocked most of the colours in right now. This one actually has got a bit of darkness on that side, so I might go over with the darker colour first rather than all white. But this area is white. It's not something I see very often, is a hare. I've seen them this summer. There was a couple of times I'd been out early. There's one that seemed to just come out and hop down the road in front of you. It didn't seem to bother that you were following in the car. It waited until it got to a point where it could go through a gap in the hedge and get into the field. And I'd mentioned it to my neighbour and she said, oh yeah, she said it catches me out every day. It'd be nice if I got out with my camera and went, I suppose, and took some photos early on. But as I say, I'm certainly not a morning person. And I think in the dark, I'm not very conscientious of it since my husband died. And that's quite, I suppose that's quite sad, isn't it? And it does bring us back to this, you know, the dusk and dawn issue, isn't it? How do you feel about that? Are you a morning person? Do you get out there? Can you go and walk in nature happily without the fear of darkness coming in on us? At this point, I'm just getting colour on, getting rid of that white page as normal. And if it's going on in shades of brown, that's fine, because the hair isn't a solid colour. I just want to colour underneath, because then I'll pick out with a different brush lots of hairs. Literally, sorry, hairs as in fur hairs. Face itself is actually a mixture of colour. Some's white, some's colourful. It's now partway through November that I'm doing this, and already those little niggles of, oh my goodness, it's going up to December, going up to the Christmas period, and all those awful times of the year when you miss your loved one more. And as much as you know you're going to be, well, at least I know I'm going to be with my family, there's still niggles. It's quite mad in a way, because, you know, I've never not been there in the past 4 years. And even with Rob, we used to go to my daughter's. They used to come to us once upon a time, but then my daughter took over. And so I've always been there, but there's still that niggle, that little niggle of what if something goes wrong and I'm not there, and you know, it's just mad, isn't it, really, how we panic over things. I was talking to someone about this, and she says, do you talk to your daughter about your fears? And I went, no, I don't want her to worry about it. And I suppose that's where we all get ourselves, isn't it? Sometimes we think we can't discuss it, so we don't discuss it, and it just niggles in the background. Just trying to get a little bit of different shades in there, where the white's going to be, where the darker areas are going to be. So the little nostrils, quite a big long nostril actually, that one. Amazing little creatures, aren't they? You know, when they get up on the legs, and they're boxers, aren't they? Which is actually quite funny to watch. It's quite spectacular as well, as they run around and get up and fight. But yeah, I've only ever seen that once. It's quite fun building an animal up. When you do them so patchy like this, it's like, where on earth are you going with this? But it gets there, always gets there in the end. It's always a bit of have faith, isn't it? We have to have faith in life that somewhere along this journey we will find the courage, the strength to keep moving one foot in front of the other and get there in the end, and we do. Everyone does. A little bit of colour around these eyes. The other side, we're not really seeing the colourful bit. It was a tad wet for doing this, actually, to be honest. But that's fine because it'll just build. And it's actually coming off my brush quite nicely because it was wet. There's a lovely curve to those eyes. They really do pop out. Once you get the eyes on, it makes such a difference, doesn't it? It's suddenly alive. Just an indication now of that area there before I dry it all off and start building up those layers of fur. So on this side, I'm actually going to have trees against the background of that lovely sky. So I'm just going to start while he dries. That tree comes straight. I'm just going to actually maybe just put them in a little bit more of a line first. I look out onto this horizon that, because they've changed, they chopped some trees down this year, it's kind of changed. And even the sunset last night, it was like, whoa, that's really different to normal. We'll probably have one coming in from there as well. I always think that it's a sad time of the year when you walk. I walk around my gardens and you see all the, it's all dark and dank, isn't it, in a way. I've split the end of it, and actually split as well. I need to mend this brush by the looks of it, just to give the impressions of the greenery on these ones, because you know the fir trees. I want the back to show through. It's quite fun, isn't it? You can just dab away. I'm just giving ideas of them coming down here as well. I'm not being too exact at the moment. It's just getting some of those marks in, and then I'll have a look and debate where I'm going with it afterwards. I have a big tree there. How does that look? Actually, yeah, quite good. So I'm going to go slowly building up this eye in layers, because we want to just go through glazes, so each layer shows through a little bit of the one underneath. So I'm just going to go very gently in there, and a nice little reddy colour. And we're going to just slowly go around and build this this hair up. It says hairs are gentle yet have a hyper-aware energy, and I think that's like our sensitivity. Like, you know, when I was saying about being very sensitive to what people say and taking it maybe a little bit further than they would expect, because we are sensitive, and that is part of the issue, isn't it? I think we become more sensitive to everything because of the situation we are in. That's far too red. I'm going to use that little brush. I love this brush, by the way, because it actually creates different lines at different angles. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that colour down here, because there is redness in his coat. The tops of those ears actually are quite dark. When I'm building fur up as well, I do like to keep changing that colour, so you're never going in with the same one, and it's more realistic. Has anyone ever said something in front of you where you've just come away thinking that was really hurtful and thoughtless to the way that it's made you actually feel, because they're so unaware of your circumstances, of how the loss of the one person that you'd have discussed all this with. I wouldn't be on here, would I, if discussing all this? If I had an issue, I would have discussed it with Rob. May still I do, and I know I don't properly get an answer. I don't get his opinion fully. I might get signs. I might get my angel signs that if you've watched any others, you know I'm quite enjoying my angel signs and angel numbers, because I do feel that they are a sign, sometimes from Rob, sometimes if you believe in God or the universe, whichever is your preference. I do think that we have angels that watch out for us. Kind of hope. We need hope, don't we? Always need hope. Just watch that side is a bit lighter. I don't go in too dark. I do like this method of building up, but you do have to remember to give it time to dry in between layers. Otherwise I can go in too harsh. It's a very quick way of also getting your fur in. And if you haven't got one of these funny shaped brushes, which is lovely, you know, you can actually do it with a flat brush as well. Use them a little bit loose, you know, like jab it in, yeah, and then you'll get different strokes all the time. I don't want to overdo that colour. I do like it, but I want to just be cautious that I don't quite overdo it. I think down here though we're going to have to build that lightness up. Let's have a look at the eye again. So I might just do a little bit of the darkness in the middle. I'm going to create a bit of purple. I do like purple as something dark as a layer because I think it just creates more interest. Keep building those dark areas as we go, and that way we're giving it different depths, different light all the time. So all these bushes, they all create different strokes, different ideas, so you never get bored of those hairlines because they all do need to be slightly different. Keep going light and dark, and it's kind of almost different shades of light and dark because underneath it I've already got that base colour around here, but it really isn't. It's a base colour and it needs to be knocked back massively. Let's go in the direction of the fur as well. On its body, the fur goes all over the place. I think that's why I like a hare. There's no rhyme or reason as to where it's going. It's lovely. It's very freeing with the directions. This section up here is quite white, so we'll just keep lightening as we go, and then the top layers will be the white itself because I want a little bit of undercover, little depth in there as well. I don't want to get myself to being too tight on the direction of everything at this point either. I want to have this freedom. It's time to build, isn't it? Is that what our lives are like? It's time to rethink, to rebuild, to rework out us. As I do with this brush, I'm very light with it. I'm not pushing down. It's a really quick flick of the brush. We'll give them a chance to a little bit dry, and I'll just add a little bit to these, to this bit. I feel as though I want to do. I wonder if I can use that brush for that. Keep that same colour going. It's probably more for the one that's up front. Who knows? This is this one that I've brought in from down the bottom, so I'm just going to mix in a little bit of the dark green because as it comes a bit closer, we might actually end up with a bit of green on it, mightn't we? Because we'll have some of that light come out. It's more as it against the skyline that it's going to be very dark. I'm a bit concerned about that line. Oh, it should be dark now, shouldn't it really? That we missed that horizon line in there. Needs to be climbed back actually. I need to go back in and do that in a second. I'll let that layer dry. This layer is quite watery, but to get the different depths and still let that light come through. There's more glaze in it. When it dries, it'll be more of a glaze. I'm just going to lay a little bit more onto that eye as well, because it is all about the glazes on it. So this side is the darker area, so I just want to introduce a little bit of a darker browny colour. I might just strengthen that dark line here as well. The same needs to go on here, doesn't it really? Just put in some dark areas, but dark areas with interest. So every so often I think it's important to, go back in and say, oh, this bit's the dark bit and this bit's the light bit. I'll add a little bit of extra dark in there. By doing it with a colour in it, you can do it with a bit aubergine sometimes as well. It gives a bit of a glisten, a bit of shine. I love that. Just for my own guidance, I'm just going to add in a bit of white there. Because sometimes you just need to know where the light's coming in so you know what you're working towards. Now you see that's better. This one I want quite a bit deeper really. The hare has a real soulful look in its face, the way it looks. It's got such enormous big eyes, hasn't it? But, you know, it's probably looking at you going, I know what you want to say, and you haven't said out loud. It's got a little deep, cheeky understanding of us. Okay, I've got the white, or the light bit, back. As I'll put some dark bits, I also need to just decide on where those light bits are. I keep swapping back and two with your colours. You'll get the hairs overlapping as well, which we need to do. We don't want to go all white and then put black on top because you won't get the natural overlap. I'm trying to just keep in the directions of those hairs as well. I think I need to make it a little bit of grey to go into that area. Again, it's a very, very therapeutic animal to paint because, you know, you're building these up in layers. It's just a nice gentle growth. How's it looking up there? Am I looking okay? Are we getting there with him? I need a little bit of the grey up into there. I might be actually mixing it up there, but I was running out of palette. Let's see if we can just get some darker bits in here. You could almost paint it darker and then put the light on it, but when you're building up hair, it's easy to do it like this. Each layer just creates texture into the fur. Put a little bit of that grey up there because we'll need some darker areas to show off the real white ones in the end, won't we? Maybe even here as well. Let's just go a little bit grey. Two of my fan brushes here. This one is a full one, but this one I cut down because I needed it smaller. It was just too big. I did a trim with it. I might not have enough paint on there now, but let's see. So then just by going, just even with half the brush still, it just gives the impression of branches, leaves. I think down here I want it a little bit thicker on some of them. You have to remember the sat in front of that line because that is the horizon behind. So we don't want to be sitting on it. We want to bring them in. I'm just going to go and just clarify the edge of the eye. There, and the edge that would actually come down like that. Sometimes we just have to keep going back in and just saying, oh, actually that's like that really. The other eye, that's actually got quite a bit of white around it as well. I'll just, again, just clarify. That there, that's great. See, if the light's coming in here, would the light get him there? It might. We'll see how it looks first. I think we'll be doing the reverse in a minute. And sometimes in the eyes, it's quite nice to get a little bit of blue into those reflection areas. It's always quite good because that sky is very blue. That really reddy brown just in here, because that's going to come round like that to shape the eye. Don't be afraid to do that part way through. Just even if it's straight lines and you just think, oh no, that wants to go in that direction, just give it an idea. I'd say it's all about little bits now of making sure as we go along we keep clarifying those areas. Bringing a soul alive on paper, it really is satisfying, this making this a 3D picture on a flat piece of paper. There's a lot of joy in that. I hope you enjoy it as well. It's a bit early for glazing the eye, but I just want to bring it back and then we can always just do that depth again. That area there should be brighter. There we go. I normally paint hairs a lot bigger so I can get into that eye better. Not too much. Just take that side bit off there. Add a little bit of blue into my brown to make it darker. I think one of the things as well with the rabbits and the hares and well, any animal really, as well as when you get the whiskers, but the whiskers on the hair are enormous. Obviously they need to dot quickly into tight spots, and they need to know the area around them before they dare actually go in. Otherwise, they'll get stuck and trapped. I like that shade of reddy brown going on there. If you get it in one area, sometimes it's just as good just to put a little bit of that colour somewhere else. It balances it all off. It's also quite light there. Let's just glaze a bit of that over on there. So I took a little break and I went for a quick walk around the garden. And it was a quick walk because flipping heck today, it is cold. It's like winter has suddenly hit. And I was thinking, because I very nearly did a white hare, an Arctic one. But I just thought maybe it wasn't really in keeping with what I did here, because obviously we don't get the white ones. But I was thinking how the hares are made, almost animals as well, but especially the hares, they're out in all seasons. They're made for all seasons. We're not. But also, grief is like being thrown into a season with no warning before you're ready. No one prepared you for it. But you're just supposed to navigate it without any guidance at all. It's a difficult time. The other day, I found a journal. This is me all over, actually. I start journaling and then use the book for something else. So I half journal about whatever I want, and then you'll find something business-like or something else, or some notes from something in it. But I was reading the journal of the beginning of me coping with the grief when Rob first died, and I did journal for a while. And I suppose there's a bit of hope in there that, journaling did help me at the time, and then I did it less and less. But that building a life and building, I did read it. Sometimes that might be helpful, it might not be, rereading something. But I think, journaling is powerful. And it's amazing how much I wrote about enjoying my art and, painting and everything. And I actually didn't know when I painted some of my art, whether it was the first year or the second year or whatever. I was a bit baffled as to when I'd produced it, because I think I lose track of time with some stuff. And I'd actually painted some of it pretty early with the hope that I would go out and sell it. But anywhere I went out to sell it, I just had a complete and utter meltdown. If you're at the beginning of this stage, journaling is powerful. It's a release. It gets things out of your system, gets them off your mind. And sometimes, especially if you go into bed and you've got something that's just playing and you can't get rid of it, get a book out, get a pad out, journal it out your system. That's what is very, very powerful to do. And, reading through mine, I really did. I did it far more than I thought I'd done it, to be honest. I think it's one of the hardest things you ever do in your life is come to grips with this grief. But hares, they adapt. They're built to cope with different seasons. It's funny how I did that black, and actually I think it was too flat. I've just put a bit of red into it to liven it up a little bit. These grey bits that I put in now, I'm like, wow, that's a bit grey, isn't it? But it was only an undercoat. We need to start putting that white in a little bit thicker. There's definite white. Just got a little bit more white here. I think we just need to brighten some of this up. And just get it a little bit out into that outskirts, like it's just extra hairs. Just take the time to keep doing these and building that white back up. There's lots of hairs, little white hairs all over this wonderful hair. It's a bit strange, isn't it? It's like two meanings of the same sound. He's quite fluffy actually, isn't he? Sometimes I'm like, did I over fluff him? I have to find a slightly smaller brush for some of these hairs. I think this one's great. It's a big picture, but sometimes I think actually on this size picture, maybe the brush is a little bit big. Okay, so around his chin there. I just need to get some white bits round. And even around the... That's it. That's the kind of the edge of his mouth, because this here is his tongue. I like this colour that I had on here before, but don't ask me how I mixed it. I might have to play around again of doing something similar. Not sure what colour that is. actually quite nice for the yellower areas. It's quite golden, but I'm happy to sometimes do, I like different colours in my art, not always necessarily the colours of the animal completely. It lifts it. That's quite nice actually. To red it off a little bit. I'm probably going to do a glaze on here afterwards. That definitely lifts it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's quite a nice purpley shade actually. Just giving its face a little bit of shaping here, because I think with just it needs to have that's its head shape, and this is like the back of the head, the body. I might even put some of that colour, just because it gives it a little bit more of a lift than completely black, into some of those trees actually. It's like the goldenness of the sunset coming through then, isn't it? Not too sure what's happening with this tree, but it's a bit, I mean, it's winter, so it's going to actually not necessarily have any leaves on it, or a few leaves on it, but it's just one that's a little bit closer to the hair down here. Now, as I talked there about my journaling, as I read through it those early days, there was so much, in a way, positivity of trying to work out how I was going to rebuild this life. But then, when I went out and tried to do the things I wanted to do, that's when it hit me at how hard it was actually going to be. And I think that's when I had my knockbacks of negativity with it all that threw me even more. And, you know, in the first year, I think, you know, there's that trying to work it out and trying to do all these different things until the reality of doing them hits home, and then it just seems harder. When I look back at it, you know, that's how mine read. And at the time, I had never really thought about it, but like that I was trying too hard in a way of working it all out, of trying to understand life, trying to understand the situation I found myself in. I went and did something to build my art, to help build my art, and I now look back and wish I hadn't done certain things at a certain time. I don't think I was ever ready to be pushing myself as I was. So I'm going to give you a bit of a journal prompt. It might help you to sort of iron some things out, some thoughts out, but it's like, what part of you is trying to grow quietly even if the timing doesn't feel right? It's good just to have a look at it, just to see. It might just help you say, do you know what, I'm pushing too hard there, or yes, I should be doing this, or no, that's too much. A smaller bush actually, but I don't always like smaller bushes. It was just me that wasn't flame friendly today. I used it with some watercolour the other day, and I'm not sure if that's why. So along with my weird funny week, that's too thick as well. My weird funny week this week, I had such a trouble getting my YouTube down last week, and I ended up redoing it. But it meant that I was cut off from all my Wi-Fi for a while I gave all the Wi-Fi power to getting this thing onto YouTube, which saddened me completely, because you don't realise what a lifeline that is, or at least maybe other people don't have it as badly as my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is so poor and so weak. Another little touch of that yellow around that edge. Let's put a little touch of it in this one as well. It just keeps strengthening those white bits up, because you know when it's not solid paint, it just dry a little bit see-through still, more glaze than paint, so keep building. So I'm going to do a symbol, you know, the native symbolism, as I normally would. I struggled on one or two of the ones with the hares, but I think that's always happened with all the animals, that some are relative to your journey through grief, and some maybe not as much. But we're going to do it anyway, shall we? So in the Native American symbolism, the hare is viewed as a trickster, because it moves and darts around, and its ability to escape danger through speed and agility, making it a symbol of survival. Well, the symbol of survival, I think, is us. We have to survive. I'm not too sure about the agility and the speed, though, because I do think that, you know, this isn't a race. This is us. You take the time you need. It's not a race at all in any shape or form. So yeah, that was it was like, okay, so we'll do the symbolism, but is it as relevant as it has been on some other animals? You might have a thought on that one. leave in the comments. And you know, if you're enjoying my videos, like and subscribe, because it really does help me build the channel. I really do appreciate that. So now we've got all those lights, we need to go a little bit back to the darks. I think this brush must have seen me get a different smaller brush because it's suddenly gone well behaved. I think even though that's white, there will be odd bits of grey through it. So this is a real therapeutic bit. You just get those, keep going with that hair. It's very wild, isn't it? I keep having a quick check of the reference picture I've got, because you know, it is sometimes important to make sure we're going in the right direction all the time. I'm actually doing quite well with this one, but we're not far off done. I don't think. I just want to try and get the eye just popping a little bit better. It's a very small flat brush. It's a 3mm. A bit of brown into this little bit here. And that brown just suddenly went there. I'm not opposed to that. So this bit here is actually the outskirts of the eye. Just want to get that eye nicely curved. There's a sharp line at the back of it, but then we have some of it with the light going through, so I'll replace that in a second. I think I just needed to get that bit sharp again. I need some darker brown in there as well. I think it might just mix in. So I quickly went and just changed my palette and just mixed a little bit more of a turquoisey blue sky. I've put a little bit of the Payne's Grey in there, and I'm still going to go and wash over this again. Didn't like the way it blended here. And I think it's such a learning curve for anybody watching that it doesn't matter where you are in your artwork. If you think it's not quite doing it, get rid of that and start again. Just put another coat on. I didn't actually use this yellow before. I used a different yellow. I think leave that to dry. This is just pure white that I'm going on there with. Sometimes I do things and think, why did I decide to do this? But I did. So now I have to work out the consequences of doing this. Can you see even what I'm doing? God dear me. So I've just lifted some off those ears just before I quickly went in, and I'm just very carefully blending a little bit of that neat orange into some areas, because obviously that's just where it's going to show back through those those trees, because I'm going to paint those back in a minute. I think that is a little bit more powerful on that blend, actually, to be honest. I think that's more realistic. And I'm just now going to go back in and blacken those trees up. It doesn't matter if some of that actually in the background still is not completely covered, because it's just like an extra shadow. Somewhere back to where we were up to, I hope. I'm just going to put the light back into this eye. Just went in a little bit keen there. Sometimes it's good to just have a little bit of blue in it. When you put the blue in, it's like a bit of reflection of the sky in the eye. It's better. The words I have kind of thought of, as usual, but there's a little bit of a thing I want to just sort of read to you, and it's some seasons don't make sense. But the hare reminds us growth doesn't wait for perfect weather. It happens in wild places. The cold days, the strange moments. You can grow again, even in strange seasons. Do you think that's where we find ourselves? In strange seasons. And like the hare says, you know, the hare adapts to strange seasons. That went a bit powerful. And maybe that's where we also need to learn to adapt a little bit. So I think my words for this one are, you can grow again, even in strange seasons. I'm not actually going to do that tree down here. Didn't really like it. Washed it out in my speedy little bit of video that you would have had. A lemon yellow over it. It really can work just as a glaze. I am liking his eye though. I think it has actually come out fine. So we have nice watery paint. I normally use it with this brush, but I don't know, it's just lost its point somehow. Let's just see how this goes. I think sometimes if you've done one and you're not happy, just keep going. Because once you've gained your confidence with it, you can quite often get them better. Let's lift that one aside. So if I'm doing it with the brush that is shaped, I need to get a sharp point on it so that I can actually just go in. That's better, isn't it? They have a massive amount, I think, of hairs, and to be honest, some of them will be black, but I suppose as it dashes around and it goes into tight spaces, these whiskers are so important, aren't they? How's he looking? I'm just going to give that the eye just a little bit of glaze of the lemon, just to lift it, and then we really are just about done. I just want it as literally a glaze. And then a little bit of a pop of that white. I don't want to lose that blue, but we definitely need to just whiten that bit up. It does need a couple of whiskers there. You can grow again even in strange seasons, and right now that's what we've found ourselves in with our grief, is strange seasons. How did you enjoy that? That was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it? A bit of a change halfway through, or not even halfway through, it was near the end, wasn't it? But I am actually really happy I did it, because I much prefer that horizon line now, and I actually like my little hair. He looks as though he's getting a little bit old, and he's got a fuzzy beard, and it's gone grey. But he's cute, isn't he? Yeah. So you can grow again even in strange seasons, and I really do think that was a strange season painting that one, because we had a whole change of the whole background a bit too near the end. The brush I use, that I'm always saying I love this brush, it's called a dagger brush. It's a funny little shaped one. In the UK, I'm not an affiliate in any way, but you can get them at Skipton Art Shop. The first affirmation cards that I did, the first 7 videos, I've made into cards now, and you can buy them in a little pack, a matching pack. There is one in the middle that has a template on it and some hints at journaling on the back. But yeah, the link to these is in the bio at the bottom as well. Lovely, lovely to see you all again, and we'll catch up again next week, when let's hope I actually think about where I'm going with that sky before I actually
paint it the wrong colour. See you soon.